Hello, good afternoon. This is Tempo Africa TV's Beyond the Headline Show, and I'm your host, Petros Haile. Today we have a special guest from Sierra Leone and, of course, Americans. So I just heard about this project that you're engaged. The organization is called Sierra Leone Foundation for New Democracy.
Yes.
And you're engaged in this particular project related to environment and early childhood education. Before that, though, I wanted to introduce you to Kim Coquette, Hinolo Pokawa, I'm sorry, and Mr. Luis Anamayo. So, who wants to start?
I can start. Yeah. So thank you very much. It's an opportunity to just be here, share a little bit about what we're doing, and how we started this initiative. So, like I said, my name is Hindolo Pokawa. I'm the founder and the executive director for Sierra Leone Foundation for New Democracy. The Sierra Leone Foundation for New Democracy is an initiative that we started about 3 years ago now. With the idea of, trying to see what are the best ways for us to be able to reclaim, identify processes for children in Africa, to be able to have access to one of Africa's fundamental challenges, which is literacy and nutrition. Literacy as in early childhood development, early childhood capacities, cognitive skills, social skills, developmental skills. That is something that is really, not very much strong on the continent. We have not paid a lot of attention. Governments have not really put a lot of attention, a lot of interest into that area. So what we created 3 years ago was to begin to address how best can access to literacy, how best can access to nutrition, to food, organic food, sustainability be developed from a holistic point of view that will be constituency-led and not just an idea coming from the West or coming from somewhere, dumped on us, but really developed from homegrown, from an idea that individuals who live in those communities, who are enduring those challenges, being able to say, okay, this is a solution that they can work with. So we organized ourselves and we were able to go down to Sierra Leone, and we had a lot of good conversation with the local community members. And it was really amazing, that this is something that is growing now, and we are seeing the fruit of it.
I think what Hindolo said is wonderful, and I have just been amazed by the really deep commitment. And I've been honored enough to be able to work a lot with the teachers, because that is what I do for my profession. I'm an early childhood educator, and to see not only their deep commitment to developing their skills as teachers, but their commitment to the project, their commitment to the children, how they're wanting to work with families, honor the whole child, honor the whole family. It's been an absolutely beautiful thing. And one of the things I really noticed the last time that we traveled there is the way that teachers were really coming up with innovative ideas, speaking up, and it was an equal partnership. That we were coming in not as an expert, but as somebody working in connection with them. Yeah, and I really saw that last time, which was a beautiful thing.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, Mr. Luis Alamayo, do you want to add to it a little bit as an educator yourself?
Yes, I'm an educator, an artist, and a community organizer. And I'm speaking as someone whose family, whose ancestors were taken from the continent and forced to be here. And the insight that I've gained from being involved in this is that when I go there, there is this real sense of returning. And it's a very intense, emotional, and elevating kind of experience. And it seems to me that in this 21st century, the indigenous wisdom that's still there and still within us as people of African descent is like really key toward our rebirth and elevation as a people. Because if we don't reclaim our identities as indigenous people, and when I say being indigenous, it means people who are connected, intimately connected to the land that they live on. They know the flow of the seasons. They know the purposes of the plants. They know the relationship between the animals, the vegetation, the water, how it all works together in the Creator's plan. And what we've learned or mislearned from the West has been a prescription for death. And so we're actually creating a model that, as far as we can tell, it works in Africa. And because of what I know about living here and my relationship, for instance, to Native American people, that model can work here amongst any people who live near water and want to localize their lives to the land that they live on and the people that are around them.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned about the shortage of water. In Sierra Leone, there's only 1/4 of the population has the actual water available to the community. And based on that, you also talk about the 12 permaculture. Do you mind helping me what it means on the...
Well,
oh, okay, go ahead.
that could be a misleading statement, because in the area that he's from, in the area that we're in, there's water flowing everywhere you go.
Okay.
And every place you see a village, usually there's a stream nearby. That water is also the reason that mining companies come there to do gold and diamonds, which also poisons the water, which creates another drama. So we've got a challenge, but if we can create what we need where we locally live, I think other solutions will evolve out of how we recreate community and establish relationships where people are feeding themselves and doing their traditional medicine in collaboration with the Western medicine that is of value. Not all of it, but some of it is of value.
Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for that question, and thank you, Louis. But I think water is the essence of life. I think we are very clear on that. It's the basis of human existence. What has happened in Africa over the last 25 to 50 years, we have seen a reduction, a dwindling of rainfall, and we can no longer continue to depend on just rainwater for crop production. This is really a reality happening across the continent. We have seen in Somalia, in Ethiopia, in other parts of the continent, in the Sahel regions, and this is happening now within the equatorial belt regions of Sierra Leone, of in other parts of where we have the equatorial belt. We can no longer continue to depend on rainfall water, for massive crop production that is community-led to be able to sustain us. And furthermore, we have tapped so much into the underground water system to the point that mining companies, extractive industries are so much polluting, the environment. They are destroying the water system to the point that it's having a bad effect on our health system. Our work with permaculture is an understanding that allows us to be able to be in harmony with water. Water as one of the key elements, as one of those things that we need to be able to survive. So with our work in Sierra Leone, with the village that where we are working, we have established the first permaculture farm, and that has allowed us to actually use water system in terms of solar energy to pump water 55 feet high into water tanks where we store water, and then we're using gravity to actually provide food. By those foods will be able to help feed the children 2 meals every day. Now this is unique, but we are also teaching the children what is the value, what is the essence of water, what is the essence, the value of the ecology. How do you grow the tomatoes you eat? How do you grow the onions that you eat? What goes into place to make sure that you can get the okra that you are going to eat? So this we have to be able to do, and we are catching them when they are very young.
Okra. Kim, you want to
Yes.
add to it a little bit?
Yes. And I think Hendelo's point about what the children are learning is so valuable. And it was beautiful. Like, we walked into one of the classrooms, and one of the teachers had drawn plants, and they had done a whole lesson about water cycles and plant cycles and how they're connected. And they're singing songs about water. And I asked the teachers, like, so are these songs you're creating? Are these songs that you have been singing in this village for a while? He said, we're bringing back songs. He's like, and one of them said that this is a song that my grandmother taught me. I hadn't sung it in years. I'm teaching it to these children. Yep. And it is sparking questions, and it is sparking a sense of inquiry and wonder in the children. And that's going to stick with these children as they grow and become leaders within their community and leaders in sustaining this beautiful, beautiful environment.
Oh, thank you. The next question would be, of course, you explained the other end of the project from Sierra Leone, but there's also school that collaborates with the project, the Black School.
Yes. Yeah, so let me just a little bit backtrack and just share a little bit about what is the key pillar of what we have created in Sierra Leone with SLFND. I would like you to imagine the possibility of, or just seeing women who have to walk a mile or two every day carrying a child on their back to a farm, and having to carry a child to go fetch water, having to walk a mile or two to go fetch firewood. It's a reality that is very consistent across Africa. You know, men are in the mines digging for gold and diamond. So women are left with the task of having to do all those chores. And so having those children on their backs, not one, not two, maybe three of those little kids, and they have to walk a mile every day, and only to have to negotiate between feeding and childcare. What we have created is, instead of you, mother, having to walk that mile, that 2 miles, bring your child and put them in the daycare, right there in the village, and then you as a mother can go about doing your own business. We as educators, we as community leaders, we as community members, grandmothers, grandfathers, young students, teachers, we come and then we are able to engage with that child in providing cognitive skills, social skills, literacy skills, but we are also providing nutrition. Very, very essential. You cannot learn when your stomach is empty. That is just the basic, the bottom line. You cannot focus when the stomach is empty. So what we have created is a system where we produce food and we feed the children 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. You as a mother, you come in the evening, you pick up your child, you can go home. You can feed that child dinner, and then we are able to monitor the nutrition, the health aspects of that child. So that is what, in essence, we have created in partnership with the community on the 20 acres of land. So this summer, we have built a relationship with Blake High School where we'll be taking 13 students, 3 chaperones, and 1 parent to really come and support the process where they're going to spend time with the community, but it's also to say, okay, how do students in Minnesota get outside of Minnesota to be able to have an exposure, an understanding of how other cultures are living their lives and other opportunities that will, trigger their own capacities to do research, their own capacities to think beyond just Minnesota. and see how the world is a global place. So they'll be coming there to support and to participate in things like spending a day in a farm, to see what it feels like to spend a day in a farm. You know, they'll be coming here to help us build the foundation for a library. They'll be coming here to help us do finish the school that we have already built with 215 children. So it's that kind of partnerships that we are looking for now. We are really looking for institutional partners that could support and come and be part of that process. We'll also be doing a biomapping of the seeds, the local seeds that are disappearing in Sierra Leone, in West Africa, where the different types of seeds, variety of seeds are disappearing. How do we bring those back? How do we make sure that those local seeds are coming back? So we'll be doing a biomapping of that. The students are going to help us. So this is a very worthwhile, wonderful relationship we've struck with Blake, and we are quite excited about it.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure you have something to say about the environment, Mr. Lewis.
Well, the other students that have been coming over the past 3 years almost now have been coming from HECUA voluntarily. HECUA is the Higher Education Consortium for Urban Affairs, college students who are involved in experiential learning in a lot of different environments in the U.S. and outside of the U.S., in Asia and New Zealand and Europe. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And Kim, do you want to add to it a little bit about your experience in Sierra Leone, particularly regarding the environment?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that really struck me is when I was spending time with the teachers, how they, we were sitting lesson planning, and they were very intentional about how are we going to bring education about the environment into the classroom, and not just education, but how to instill a deep respect and honor for the environment. So it wasn't just the science of it, but that internal love of their land. And I thought that was really a brilliant part on the teachers, to make sure that that was going to be one of the things that they were discussing with their children. And these are young children, but they have the capacity to learn.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I think one of the most significant things that's happening around education is that when I've interacted with the teachers, there's been about 12 of them, the thing that I've emphasized is that we've got to begin to name exactly what a colonial education is and what it's designed to do. And primarily a colonial education, whether it's in Africa or whether it's here in the U.S., it's designed to shape people to support the dominant culture, the empire. And so if we reclaim the education of our children, which we have to do if we're going to survive, we've got to teach them how to be healthy, full, creative African people who are connected to their family, to their community, and to the world in a balanced and healthy way, supporting life, giving life, realizing that when the Creator manifested this, it was done with a design where everything was interconnected. And when you don't understand the interconnection of all life, you're contributing to a major disaster. So our young people and our young teachers are really figuring out what it means to create, I'll call it a neo-African education for the 21st century. They're certainly gaining from the past, but they're creating the present and the future by how they nurture these children.
Thank you, Mr. Laramayo. Now let me take you to a little bit different subject. You do have a program on Sunday night, Walk for a Child.
Yes.
Would you mind saying a little bit about that?
Yes. The Walk for a Child is a partnership again with Blake High School, because we'll be taking the students to Sierra Leone from Blake. That we struck, and we are quite excited about that. And it's happening this Sunday at the Northrop campus, which is in Kenwood in Minneapolis. from 1 o'clock to 4 in the afternoon. And the idea behind it is for individuals who are true partners, friends of Sierra Leone, of Africa, who are eager and are supportive of the kinds of initiative to be able to help us to move forward. To imagine what it feels like to walk 3 miles carrying firewood again, carrying a child, carrying water on your head, and see what that looks like. Because that is on average in Sierra Leone, in Africa, women consistently have been noted to walk about 3 miles on average to go to the stream and back, or to go fetch firewood and back, or to carry that child on their back, walk to the farm and back. You know, when they are returning home from the farm in the evening, they have a pot in their head, they have this, you know. So consistently, women have been placed in that position. So the work for a child is to symbolize what it means to be, you know, put under those kinds of conditions. And yes, still, when you talk about education, every mother will go to the end to sacrifice to make sure that their child have access to literacy. And so the work for a child on this Sunday is going to enable us to fundraise, to allow us to be able to provide the necessary support that is going to be needed for those children, so that when school open in September, we can make sure that we have the support to be able to make sure that they are ready for classes.
Okay. What kind of activity are we expecting this Sunday?
Basically, Sunday we're going to be at starting at Blake, and then from there we're going to go to Lake of the Isles, where we're going to walk around the lake. Lake of the Isles is about 3 miles, so we chose it primarily for that purpose. Yeah. And we're going to go right around, and we're trying to symbolize again, you know, what it really means to be in a condition, in a situation, in a place like Africa, in Sierra Leone, a country like Sierra Leone, and how that really symbolize, you know, the kinds of challenges that we go through. So we'll be walking around the lake, and then we'll come back. There will be drumming from Truth Maze that will be there. We'll also have food that will be available. So please come and be part of it and join us and, you know, grace the occasion.
I know for sure Tempo Afrique will be there, covering the whole event. And by the way, Sierra Leone Independence Day is this week, right?
Yes, yes. So Sierra Leone Independence Day is again this week, is this Saturday coming, which will be held in Golden Valley. I'm not sure of the address. And it's 57th independent anniversary from Britain. And we have a recent, we've conducted a recent election with a new president. And so that is also an opportunity for people to come out and just celebrate and be part of that occasion as well. Anybody can reach us at www.slfnd.org. That's our website address. And basically, currently, we are really looking for institutional partnerships to be able to enable us, schools who will be interested to organize and bring their students out to Sierra Leone. We've just completed a retreat facility where we can actually host people. So we are looking for those kinds of support. But within a programming aspect, there are 3 levels of engagements that we are looking for. Anything around permaculture, ecology, sustainability that looks at solar-related issues, water-related issues, construction-related issues will be welcome, and we'll be happy to receive such support. We have within the, you know, the educational aspect, shipment to Sierra Leone, trying to collect materials, books, and those kinds of things. We are currently in need to construct a library, the first library in the chiefdom, you know, which will be amazing. So we're looking forward to that. But again, we also have our social enterprises that comprises of 7 aspects of tailoring, carpentry, welding, beekeeping, rice mill, poultry. We are looking for support, capital investment in those areas to enable us to make sure that this model, this particular approach is sustainable from the ground, is constituency-led, is going to be innovative by the people who they themselves are going to benefit from this initiative.
Okay. I don't want to pass without asking this question, but you have a 20-acre land in Sierra Leone?
Yes.
And when is it going to launch? And
Yes, we have 20 acres of land, and this is where we are doing all our work. We're quite excited that it was donated by the community in true partnership. This is really what we mean when we talk about true partnership. And that 20 acres of land, we've built schools, we've built the first smoke-free kitchen, where we can prepare meals with no smoke at all. People hardly know that smoke actually kills more people in Africa than the typhoid and the malaria combined. But smoke inhalation, that really emanates and attack, you know, the lung system and what have you. People don't really talk about that. So our kitchen, we've made sure that our kitchen is smoke-free. We've also built a biofuel digester toilet system, a composting toilet system that allows us to really make use of the waste and be able to make sure that plants and other things can actually have that waste, which then can help us with our food production. So these are all things that we have put in place, plus a retreat facility. We are now looking for support to build a library, the first of its kind.
Thank you very much. Kim Coquette, Hinolo Pacao.
Yep.
I said it right this time, right? And Mr. Luis Anamayo. On that note, we're in today's program of Beyond the Headlines. We'll see you with a different guest next week. Until then, have a nice one. Thank you.